Tayana gate gade barangan parasangade bunde. And next, we'll do short meditation in bodhicitta and refuge. Of course, refuge also you can do related with the Mahayana practice. In the front of you on the space. Which appears empty, but also empty of inherently existing. And dear aspect of Guru Shakyamuni, in the nature in your root guru, joyfully looking, pay attention to yourself. And you are the leading and surrounded by all Mother Sentient Being. Wishing to liberation, and you as taking responsibility. Therefore, you and all Mother Sentient Being willing to take a refuge. The Buddha as a guardian, the Dharma as an actual path, and the Sangha were the inspiration or helper. Relate to the Buddha, cultivating appreciation. Relate to the Dharma, willing to cultivate in your mind. And related to the Sangha, encouragement. Cultivating strong concern for the surrounded sentient being, cultivating strong wishing to liberate all those sentient beings based on that feeling. with that purpose. You want to obtain Dhammakaya, which is internal strength, and the Rupakaya, which is the manifesting strength. So therefore, any kind of activity you want to gain truth with that kind of purpose, including now, this session, to purpose to benefit sentient being. Therefore you want to obtain the enlightenment. So therefore you want to take this action, listening Dhamma, contemplating Dhamma, and meditating in Dhamma. All those merit, all those positive karma, also you want to dedicate to liberating all sentient being. Sangye Chudan Zonye Chunan Chanju Badu Dani Gyazunje Dagi Chenye Gibi Zanam Dula Benje Zangye Duba Jo Sangye Chudan Zonye Chunan Chanju Badu Dani Gyazunje Dagi Chenye Gibi Zanange Drama Benje Sangye Drubasho. I take refuge until I am enlightenment in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by the positive potential that are created by listening to the Dharma. May I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit sentient beings. Okay. Again, list of things to keep in track. So anyway, today we're going to discuss in sixth chapter and seventh chapter. Basically, there's like sixth chapter have a 13 different type of topic, but basically is most of them you are familiar. In the seventh chapter, there's a 4 different topic. It will come in a later. It is kind of slightly different. Maybe you haven't heard before, but the essence of that you must heard already. However, now. Mahayana Buddhism, we are considered as a Mahayana Buddhism practitioner. So, in our personal life, in day-to-day basis, when we meditate in a compassion, that is the kind of like the motivation. This is the kind of like the motivation. Things have to start by something. Whatever, any action, mental action or physical action, whatever we do, have to start on something. Basically, there's 2 things. Either, purpose of yourself or either purpose for something. Without, there's a almost a karmic action that doesn't involve either. So Mahayana is really kind of like a revolution. Not only the kind of conventional world, even the spiritual world, trying to making kind of very strong concern, experience a strong concern for the root of the problem, and that kind of motivation, and the meditation, compassion, meditation and compassion is kind of that kind of strong, pure motivation, unbelievable motivation. On that, the vision. Meditation in a bodhicitta is kind of like the vision. Is as much big and it's kind of like a dreaming, very perfect, ultimate vision, and practicing on the 6 parameters and the whole rest of the method. It can be like kind of the mission, Mahayana. So basically, Mahayana's motivation is a compassion mind, understanding 3 different type of a suffering level, based on that, based on that kind of wisdom, experiencing concern, not kind of like based on a kind of like a faith or not kind of that, based on a karmic cause and effect, based on a dependent arising, based on a cause and effect, based on a wisdom, that kind of pure motivation. And then the vision is to obtain the enlightenment to sake of benefiting for sentient being. So, as a mindfulness practitioner, we have to get familiarizing, get used to this kind of vision. We have to dream. We have to expand our mental attitudes. We shouldn't close, just thinking around your own front desk, your own fire space, living room, or this fire. Not only that, we're supposed to think. We're supposed to, becoming Mahayana practitioners, we have to vision very, very extensive. We have to think beyond. Once we get thinking narrow, at that time it becomes contradicting for our own self. Being Mahayanas and thinking very narrow, trying to view very narrow, then is becoming contradicted. Basically, not only that issue, but the thinking in narrow is naturally, we have more difficult in our own personal life, and also we create lots of problem with other people. So now this Abhisamaya Alankara is basically how to extend the mission of the Mahayana tradition. Whole Panjanaparamita Sutras, indirect teaching. Directly, it just went directly to the teaching in wisdom, which is ultimate method, ultimate cure for the problem. But there is need to able to really to make a wisdom more stronger. We need lots of different type of mental qualities. So therefore, Abhisamaya Alankara is basically in the method side, Mahayana method side. Now, since Mahayana practitioner vision is so huge, so unbelievable, that purpose of benefiting for sentient being, that you want to eliminate knowledge obstacle and imprint and obscuration. There's two different types of obscurations. So therefore, if that is the vision, the mission should be more extensive, not just only roughly understanding in stages of the Lamrim is not enough, and not only went through several retreat and practice is always excellent, but we shouldn't be satisfied. There's still life is full of hope. Now in Buddha Dharma, it just came to West. Now is this time, the time right now, so I feel like it's a very important time. It's just kind of like in a English way, you're saying that one step forward, two step back. What that says? That kind of things that it's just kind of in a, like there's a certain level of improvement. Transit happened. Now in this time, it's kind of more pay attention, like children. Of course, when they are very children, in a child, there's not that much danger with any other things. Now, when they grown up, when they becomes around the teenager time, then mother have more concern. So there's more parents have to apply wisdom and compassion, able to really guide to a beautiful human being. Likewise, now my personal feeling is now in a certain degree of understanding most people have. Now, somehow to again, as an individual person, interested in Buddha Dharma, we have to really, push our wisdom not let our wisdom to rest as an individual person. We need to push our wisdom as a far and really to how you say how is it to really to preserve in Western culture in the your own as a culture, able to really function perfectly this Buddha's teaching, Buddha's. Now for that, first step, it just becomes very important. How you say? This kind of subject also I think is very important. It's boring, but can be really really important. And in one way, Tibetan language, studying Tibetan language, and maybe I say not the clinical language, but the classical things. And there's a lot of Westerners, when they read the Tibetan text, they really read very well and explains. They can go, but you can't not necessarily able to speak the clinical language. It's not necessary, but studying classical Tibetan language, and that's really there's so many. It's just simply putting effort for several months that you can reach to your understanding in Buddha Dharma can be reached very, very enhancing, by that study. There's Tibetan language usually I think is very in a conventional world is very poor. Is nothing can be done by that language, but in the spiritual world, and particularly in the Buddha Dharma world, and then Tibetan language serve very much in standard. Yeah, I'm not sure how to say to the number one, but it is very rich in Buddha Dharma. Buddha Dharma teaching is not only in the Sutrayana, not only in the Hinayana Sutrayana, it's most whole the philosophical and the Tantrikayana. In any case, it's like really you can able to explore. Then with your own background, educated person, then I think is really. You can fly out. You can really go further. Now me is like trying to speaking this English language, haven't really studied formally. There's lots of meanings and so on and so forth. No matter how much I try, they get lost between that language because lack of properly spoken. So now, the seas, in the early time, I think there's the teachers, and they make more effort in trying to, get a translation. And, sometimes I feel like really people, Westerns really are patient. There's like, in some case, there's some, in a Latin place, sometimes from Tibetan to English, English to Spanish, and then only like three. Anyway, when you to go through one translation, also it's kind of difficult, the time and many things. But however, and right now, there's that kind of period. Still there's a great teachers, great yogis, great Mahasiddhis still available. So absolutely, it's worthwhile to spend patient. But in the long term, I think it's very, very important within the culture, within the Westerners, able to really carry on the Buddha Dharma and able to teach, not only able to teach, but able to live, even within your family life, the parents who lives in Buddhist principles things, when they live in their own life like that way, the children also get, that kind of effect. Not necessary. I say not necessary. You need to convert your child, but children are also intelligent when they see their parents' way of living with I say, contented or more subdued way, but more life, and of course everybody will. So basically, this is is very important to really to able to exploit. So it's kind of like okay. Now this okay. So therefore, one thing I feel like important is able to translate in the first translating the root text, whatever exists in Sanskrit to English, is just fine. If that doesn't exist in Sanskrit way, then like Tibetan text which exists, translate from that. Make a first reserve. And then after that, then maybe whatever based on that understanding and practice, whatever comes from that. I think that's important. If we don't have any reserve, then later very becomes individual, very individual. Like there will be 1,000 books and there will be 1,000 different. There's nothing to really to stick down. Nothing to reliable kind of stick down. Individuals' ideas. Then it becomes, I think, too confusing. So therefore, the first is important to able to bring back all the, I say, the tools, the resource, and then after that, I think it's important. Okay. So I want to thank all of you. This hard topic to trying to study, trying to listening. Okay, so now we are in the 6th chapter, and usually, just give in a monastery when they started. When it comes to 6th chapter, usually is not. Usually they go really fast around 6th chapter and 7th chapter. The reason why is the subjects are quite familiar. Particularly in the 6th chapter, there's lots of, there's a huge part of that is most in 6 paramitas, and most of 6 paramita topic in 6 paramita is spoken well explained well in the 1st chapter, particularly in the 1st chapter of Kodup. I don't know how to translate that, although we finished already. So anyway, there's more explanation given already, so usually we won't go too much detailed. Okay. Okay. In the 6th chapter, Thagijoa, there's 13 different type of a topic. The first 6 are 6 perfections, Pajintuki Thagijoa. Then from 7 to 12, 6 recollections, 6 recollection. Recollection in the Buddha, recollection in Dharma, recollection in Sangha, recollection in ethic, in giving, and God. So basically, although individual practitioners, have already cultivated the actual Dharma in their own practice, but it's still very important, trying to taking a refuge until the Dharma, until the Buddha. Under the Sangha, it becomes very important. Although individual practitioners have already, based on understanding of wisdom and based on understanding, based on experience of wisdom and compassion, they have already, but still, recollection of ethic and recollection of giving becomes very important because over here is general speaking, ethic and giving becomes kind of like an antidote of attachment, antidote of attachment. But in the Bodhisattva's Burmese, individual practitioner almost already eliminate or manifesting of attachment, but still they do possess the subtle attachment, which is totally different than. Is much subtle than what we experience. So to reduce those kind of subtle level of attachment. So there's a recollection of ethic and recollection of giving is kind of like becomes important. Now recollection of a God over here is a God in terms kind of like a Dharma protector. Is this recollection in terms that to able to enhancing, to removing the hindrance for your spiritual practice. There's some kind of recollection. Over this recollection related with the God is mostly kind of like a not kind of faith, but kind of just reliance. Just kind of dependence. So then the number 13 is basically the ultimate wisdom, which is the wisdom in the wisdom and the 10th bhumi, wisdom in the 10th bhumi. That becomes a direct antidote, which will going to eliminate in another second. It becomes an enlightened, omniscient mind. So that's somehow hittingly from number 1 until number 10, Maya and a whole path, from accumulation path to until 10th bhumi. It's kind of like hittingly, it teaches. Okay. Okay. Now, just to give a little bit, again, to the roots are where the 16 came from. 16 is based on a serial training. That means Tarki Jowa. We have in Abhisamayalankara from 4th chapter to until 7th chapter. One is like Namzo Jowa, complete aspect training. Sejo, pig training, Sejo. Then Targi Jowa, serial training, and Kejimi Jowa, momentarily training. So those 4 is the kind of like we have to. How you say? Let me give a little bit brief idea. This serial training also, Bodhisattva in the accumulation path, they do have this serial training. Bodhisattva, of course, in a preparation, path of seeing, path of a meditation, until 10th bhumi, Bodhisattva do have a serial training. Those whole have a serial training. Now, momentarily training, which is the subject of a 7th chapter, that is only exists in the 10th bhumi. Momentarily training, it only exists in the 10th bhumi. Now, between these two, serial training and momentarily training, these two, I should give this slide, but today I have lots of laziness, so not able to write down. So anyway, I'll now this is training of image, mental image. So now, the difference between these two is one is Kinsumgi Nambala Temba Toptundu Gomba, means meditation for how you say. The serial training is to able to, able to meditate within the one moment, able to meditate all the aspect of the three nobles. There's an aspect of three noble. There's a Gyadun Jutsaksum 173. So in a serial training, it's kind of like gradually, able to. The purpose of serial training is, within the minute, that able to meditate in 173 aspect of three nobles. And the momentary training, which is in the 7th chapter, is just the practitioner obtain that goal, complete that mission. So that able to meditate 173 aspects of three nobles within the minute. So one is trying for that, and one is, likewise, some of you have a practice in a high yoga tantric practice. There is a practice of a sadhana. And sadhana usually, advise when you practice in the sadhanas, not necessary to, one side first perfect, then going to jumping for next. Go entire, just go entire first. And then later, you're trying to make a more perfect, more clarity, more, within the minute. You can able to really meditate whole sadhana, generation, meditation, like three kayas and all those stuff, like within the. One time, His Holiness mentioned that in his, related with the commitment, and usually when you do the commitment of a Guya Samaja, it's kind of very long description, and when you go with the words. Word you can't speak everything in once. You have to go through it gradually. So it takes us a long time. Usually, this takes. Now, His Holiness, one time you mentioned, when he is busy, he can complete within the 15 minutes. Within the 15 minutes. So, purpose of a commitment, is this relying on the word? Is we have to be very temporarily. We have to, soon as possible, able to throw out the words and go through the meditation. Is this the purpose of a commitment? If we rely on forever in the word, then I think it is a time comes that really difficult. That is kind of like a physical training, physical therapists. They go first, take two kind of cans, and then later they try to take out one and try to go in one. Then later they will take out nothing and let them walk. And likewise, this, sadhana training in meditation, the reciting, the verbal is like the can. It's just for temporarily, as soon as possible. Once you're able to go through your own mental process, and then there's not depends for the words. So then there's a quickness. There's a quick to meditate in one image of a deity, and to say all those description by word, it takes so different. If you're able to meditate, you can do instance like a picture. So anyway, serial training is kind of like to looking for that. Later, gradually, dropping all those sadhana words, not relying on that. I shouldn't use this word dropping, but not relying so much on the word that you can able to observe the meaning. So, that kind of stage can be bit. Then, even not only that you can able to observe all the meaning within the second, so quick. And not only that, in a Tantrayana, it becomes more smaller, more subtle, more tiny. Within the drop, inside the drop, hold the mandala and deity mandala. And so it's like demand, and they push the practitioner's visualization further and further. So, serial training is purpose for that. So, Okay. Now there's another training, which is a complete aspect of training and peak training. These two. Now, these two are not really looking for the subject. These two are training more to the, not for the, now again, subject is the mind, object is the you. So the complete aspect of training and the peak training, these two are more for the subject, not for that much in the object. Serial training and momentary trainings is more to the, there's so many objects. So how to able to meditate all this within the second, this kind of training. So more in a object. Now peak training and complete aspect of training. These two are more in a subject mind. That means to improve the lens, the glass, the meditation consciousness, to improve more that aspect. Basically, aspect of a three no's. That is a symbolism. Now, this is a general word, but particularly like impermanent meditation and impermanent. But they are not trying to really improvement on that subject, object, but the subject mind. They're trying to really clarity. That means basically, one is trying to transform that subject mind in a nature of a special insight, langdong, or gomjung, gomjung gisherap, the wisdom which is arises by meditation. Now, this is Tibetan words of gomjung gisherap, gomjung gisherap. So basically, it means a langdong, special insight. Usually, when we say langdong, it's not necessary to be a langdong is a subject mind, but usually to have a langdong, you don't have to have taken refuge. Even your beliefs, self, I say, kansagda, exists, a creator or self-existent, you can still have a special insight. You can cultivate special insight, langdong. But that, langdong you can cultivate in a way. It's just kind of like a certain strength of the mind. The mind in a so now over here, langdong, the mind, special insight, which can experience ultimate reality or emptiness. For that, you have to have a bodhicitta mind, compassion mind. Without this kind of like a strong vision and motivation, the mind unable to push in that level, mind able to reach in that kind of reality, experience in reality. And so therefore, just for the special insight is not necessary. Not necessary. In the text, it says not necessary. Now the earlier one, the peak training. So therefore, peak training is only exist Mayana path from. Now you have to get through a mental picture. We went through all those without slide. Now the peak training is only exist Mayana path from the preparation to until Tandabhumi. Because able to generate it, special insight which is experience the emptiness, special insight which realize emptiness. It's only can start it from in path of a preparation. So the peak training is a peak training. zemo is a peak in terms that the mind gets the subject mind gets sharpened as a special insight, and that is experiencing the most ultimate reality. So, peak from point of view of a subject and object both. It is only exists from Maya and a path of preparation to until tender bhumi. Now, complete aspect of training in a complete aspect, which is called namso jowa, that exists from Maya and a path of accumulation from Tsoklam, Maya and a path of accumulation to until tender bhumi, However, 4 trainings are only exist in a Bodhisattva's bhumi, Bodhisattva's path. Only exists in Bodhisattva's path. It doesn't exist in enlightenment in the Buddha's bhumi or Buddha's mental continuum. Also, it doesn't exist in a practitioner who haven't cultivated spontaneous bodhicitta mind, who haven't entered in the Maya path. It doesn't have those 4 different types of training in the Dhamma. Unable to cultivate. Okay. Now, okay. 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 Let's go with the earlier ones, with the sixth perfection. Now over here, how you say? Now this meditation is kind of, again, we make it just with the serial training of a generosity, serial training with the ethics, and so on and so forth, with the sixth perfection. How individual the meditation is kind of within the one meditation. There's 2 things are going on. Now, individual practitioners, first of all, meditation in a practice in a generosity. Practice in a generosity. Practice in a generosity. Basically, that means increasing wish to giving, and wish to releasing, not to holding on it. Basically, practice in generosity is antidote of attachment. So. Basically, strong meditation, go through very intensive meditation in increasing of a giving and releasing, giving, not holding, giving meditation. And based on that, then based on that meditation, then entering towards to the meditation of 173 aspect of 3 nobles. 173 aspect of 3 nobles. Those gradually going on that meditation. Somehow, practice of a generosity, generosity perfection, Jimbe Pachin. Now, of course, you have to have good understanding, about what means a practice of generosity and generosity profession. To do a generosity profession, definitely we have to have a bodhicitta, enlightenment, mind generation. Is you have to have a wisdom realizing emptiness? Necessary or not? To able to wisdom realizing emptiness not necessary. Why? Why? Don't need to understand the ultimate reality to able to. That is the giving, but the practice, perfection of jinbe parching, perfection of generosity.
Or perfection.
Is necessary or not to able to understand that? Over here, Bodhisattva in a path of accumulation, when they practice in generosity, that practice is a perfection of a generosity or not? Jinbe parching, isn't it? Is we should say yes or no.
To reach that perfection, we need
Oh, that's a good point. So Bodhisattvas only can practice, assist perfections starts from the path of a seeing.
They don't need to start. They reach the perfection at the path of seeing, but they can start before.
They reach before and they start when?
They reach the perfection at the path of seeing, but they can start the practice before.
Practicing in perfection exists. They cultivate it or not, that profession. How they practice, like a sadhana, or how the perfection of a generosity, when they practice, this is to cultivate. That profession should be cultivated, isn't it? Huh?
The definition of perfection.
Profession, yeah. Again, what's the definition? Over here it is a usually paru to chimpa. Usually perfection means like you're expert in generosity. So Bodhisattva in a path of accumulation, generally speaking, haven't perfect. Still need to, once they get enlightenment, they get perfect. But still is able to say practicing in perfection of generosity, because parudo chimpa, in Tibetan word parudo chimpa, that word can also reverse for the parudo chinche, chimpa cheba. Chimpa cheba means it perfects. That practice is perfects. So perfection in terms not from the result point of view, but this is from the causal point of view. This usually label almost looks like a jinbe parudo chimpa. Label, the words, the label almost looks like the result word carry, but usually it is from the causal point of view. And Bodhisattva in a path of accumulation haven't perfect the practice of generosity, because it needs to still enhance, still, until they get enlightenment. But from the point of view of causal, so they are perfecting. So that is the the meaning of the perfection. Now the question over here.
Only at the point of enlightenment you achieve the perfection of generosity.
Yeah, perfection of generosity. Now. Once you attain the enlightenment, can you say that?
Are you saying that only once you reach enlightenment that you have perfected, you have reached the perfection of generosity?
You have reached it.
Oh no, you've attained the perfection of generosity. Only a Buddha has the perfection. Are you saying that only a Buddha has the perfection of generosity?
That's good. Only again.
Are you saying only a Buddha has the perfection of generosity?
No.
What are you saying?
I'm saying bodhisattvas able to, they have a practice of a profession in generosity. Do they have a profession in generosity? Yeah, I say yes, they do have.
Bodhisattvas have a
Profession in generosity, yes.
I thought you said that the practice of perfection, you talked about from a causal point of view, so it helps perfect it.
Yeah, because of that, so therefore, it's perfect, it is in a general, in Jinpe Parching, that doesn't reverse for the result,
Okay, so it's defined by the cause.
defined by the cause, in general speaking.
So they do have the perfection of generosity.
Yes.
Even though they're not good. I mean.
Yeah.
Sure.
What about what Somo said about the first Bhumi Bodhisattva does perfect generosity?
Perfect generosity.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course, I went to even more further path of accumulation. I said they have a perfect generosity.
And you mean that was the Paru to Chenche?
Chinche. All the until 10th Bhumi is Chinche. Chinche. That's the no doubt. Until 10th of. So, in another hand, we can make also. It doesn't matter. Also, in another way, we can make for the Yangsi's question. I won't be a good lawyer. I might change my thesis here and there. In another hand, Jinpe Parching, perfection of generosity, do exist in a Bodhisattva. Almost we can say no. Even professional generosity only exists in enlightenment, but the professional generosity is a practice. Nyamle. Yeah.
Oh, so now you're using the word practice to define?
Yeah. Yeah. Another way. This is the another way. Nyamle. Jinpe Parching ki nyamle. Nyamlen.
So they have the practice of the perfection of generosity.
Jinpe
So
Parching.
bodhisattvas have the practice of the perfection of generosity,
Yes.
but they have not attained the perfection of generosity.
Yeah. Maybe that looks a little bit better than the earlier one.
So what happened at the first Bhumi? What is the perfection that they achieved?
Now, I will say that the first Tibetan word, Jinpe Parjing gi nyamle che lakba top. Now, again, that when we translate in English, in the first Bhumi, the Bodhisattva, they obtain certain standard, I don't know how to say, certain standard of a practice of a generosity. Jinpe Parjing gi nyamle che lakba top. Due to direct realization of emptiness, due to transforming the method side, the first they get in the first Bhumi, they're supposed to get. So my question is earlier, to really to practice, however, Jinpe Parching, we say it is the causal level, or is the result level, or whatsoever, to able to practice in a profession in generosity, do you have to have a bodhicitta, of course, because in the Mahayana tradition, the question remains, do you have to have a wisdom realizing in an emptiness or not?
In resultant perfection, it would seem that you would have to, because if you didn't realize emptiness, then there would be some sense that things were independent or substantially existent, in which case you could become attached to them. And in order to free yourself from attachment, you have to have that realization. In causal, anybody can practice generosity.
Yeah. In this case, like example, like Lama Selimba, which is the teacher of Lama Atisha, where Lama Atisha got his mind, method side of whole instruction from Lama Selimba, is already in Bodhisattva, isn't it? Or enlightenment, or Buddhist. Let's go. This is Bodhisattva. And the Lama Selimpa, you have of course, since Bodhisattva have a bodhicitta mind, but they have a realization in emptiness. Isn't considered Lama Selimpa as a Yogacharan view? Particularly Lama Selingpa with the Guru devotion issue. Do everything we have to say yes, the disciple. If that's the case, that Lama Atisha will accept whatever Lama Selingpa teach, and if that's the case, that Lama Selingpa is considered as in Yogacharan view, and Lama Atisha in a Madhyamikan view. There is a, if you talk from the wisdom point of view, Lama Atisha might say, no, I'm sorry, not that. Things that inherently exist. That's usually is considered as a Lama Selingpa. So, so from that point of view, wisdom is not necessary. Now, question comes: Bodhisattva in the path of accumulation and Bodhisattva path in the preparation. There's two different things. But path of preparation, absolutely, there's no way to go achieve a path of preparation without realizing an emptiness. So, in a general considered Lama Selingpa, which is Lama Atisha's Bodhisattva vows and Bodhisattva's teaching which he received, is considered as a minor path of accumulation. So, in the minor path of accumulation, to be able to practice in the perfections, 6 perfections, in the perfection and generosity, not necessary to have a wisdom realizing emptiness. Now, as you reasoned early time, if they don't have a wisdom realizing emptiness, how they deal with such an emotion such as attachment. Now, for Lama Selingpa, which have a view in a Yogacharan view, which again things are just creation of a mind and nothing externally exists. Nothing externally exists. So based on that kind of view, in a certain level of negative emotion able to reduce, still able to reduce. There's a lots of question comes how. Also, I also used to think how we can say one view is more, subtle than another one. One view is like a Yogacharan. Yogacharan view is a grosser than the Madhyamikan view. Basically, one's individual practitioners, when they go to meditation in a Yogacharan view, meditated ego pose or concentration, within the meditation, they can able to experience independent existence. The independent existence of a mind itself, independent existence of an imprint of a mind itself. Now, in the meditation of a Madhyamikan view, nothing independent existing. Within that meditation, there's no way to experience something that things exist externally. So it's kind of like a more protective wisdom. From that point of view, one have, from that point of view, the subtleties that one is that angle, I think, that within the meditation you can certain level of experience, in certain level you can't experience. Now this is the one thing. Is in another way. Now when we take out like Lama Selingpa's issue, but we can go. I think in one of the Lobeng Lengdenje. What's the name of Lobeng Lengdenje? Bhavaviveka. One of the Madhyamikans scholar, founder. And he's one of the Umagye, or Umanawa, or Madhyamikan. He was stated like there's two different type of practitioners. Practitioner which is strongly relying on the wisdom practice, in logic and reasons, and there's a practitioner which is more, compromising, the faith and also the wisdom, lesser knowledge or wisdom, and one's more sharp. There's two different things, and for the lesser one, wisdom, those practitioners first cultivate bodhicitta, first compassion mind, then bodhicitta, then after that cultivate the wisdom realizing emptiness. Now there's in another way for the sharper wisdom, they first cultivate the compassion all the time, compassion going first, then the wisdom realizing emptiness, then the bodhicitta comes at the last. So again, is a through the both are like from the point of view of a individual's mental way of seeing things. So in this case, which is more lesser, which is compromising wisdom and faith together, first compassion, then bodhicitta. Once they cultivate bodhicitta mind, and then they are entering in a minor path, and they practice in a six professions and so forth, but not in the meditation in emptiness.
So the sharper ones enter the Maya on the path later?
The path later? Oh, that's maybe faster.
Oh, because they sun emptiness.
Yeah.
And they seem to have bodhicitta simultaneously.
Once this get the emptiness, then it's much quicker to cultivating the bodhicitta mind. For Ombotobo, for Lesser, basically a strong faith and devotion and so on and so forth, based on that is making whole effort.
Can you say something about, because sometimes you hear that, when you realize emptiness directly, then you also can attain bodhicitta. Is that?
Once you realize emptiness directly.
Like sometimes people talk about how the two come together.
Emptiness.
You hear different things about that,
Mhm.
that sometimes if you see emptiness directly, then also you can have, get the bodhicitta realization as well.
I think I think is difficult. My general speaking, and I'm like I'm talking from my experience, but the general what I study, there is a individual person can get a realization in emptiness for purpose of self-liberation. Purpose of self-liberation, really focus on your own problem, really, looking for solution, and really trying to meditate, trying to find the reality, and gaining realization in emptiness. Even in the later, like that realization can transform in direct perception, still, no bodhicitta, because whole thing's process didn't start it based in a compassion.
You hear that sometimes, once you see ultimate, reality, that how can you not have bodhicitta?
I think some like already basis in a compassion, already like kind of with the context with when they talk, all picture based in the compassion mind, minus things, and then once the individual practitioner realize the emptiness, understanding the ultimate reality, and then where that push, understanding ultimate, where that realization will push for practitioners, bodhicitta, to do something. So I think it's basically the motivation, individual liberation motivation or compassion motivation takes the difference. Okay. Okay. Now, another question. To practice in a profession in wisdom, is this necessary to get within the 6 paramitas, professional wisdom, to practice in professional wisdom? Do you have to have a understanding ultimate reality or not? To practice in the 6th profession in wisdom, is this practitioner have to have 6th perfection? Do you have to have a wisdom realizing emptiness or not?
Causally, no. Well, if by practicing it you attain it, then causally, no, you don't have to have it. From a causal point of view.
When you, I say, no. To practice in a profession of a wisdom, do you have to have a wisdom realizing emptiness? Then
If you're practicing
In
the
a professional
perfection, that's what you
wisdom.
just said, it's causal, so. One thing to be practicing it and.
practicing in a profession of wisdom.
Right.
Profession of wisdom and practicing in a wisdom realizing emptiness. Mhm. Wisdom on your own mind. Wisdom understanding emptiness.
Direct perception of emptiness to practice the perfection of wisdom.
When you say direct perception, now I think there's two things. When you say realizing in emptiness and realizing emptiness directly, there's two different things. One is conceptual level and one is direct perception level. Direct perception is only once you get in the path of seeing. So now your question is, practicing in perfection of a wisdom, have an understanding, conceptual understanding of the emptiness. Conceptual. Huh? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Isn't there's let me say meditation in impermanent. Meditation, Bodhisattva, when they go through meditation in impermanent, through the wisdom. Meditation in impermanent is a wisdom meditation or is it a method meditation? Meditation in impermanent.
Well, through the wisdom. If you're just meditating on impermanence,
Uh-huh.
okay, is it a method or is it wisdom?
What do you think? Meditation in impermanent is both?
And it's also wisdom.
Meditation in impermanent is also wisdom and method, both. If meditation in impermanent will be practiced in wisdom and method, both, then how meditation in emptiness doesn't become practicing in a method? Mm-hmm. So meditation in impermanent can be, when you meditate in the impermanent based on the bodhicitta mind, based on the compassion mind, is that wisdom, meditation in the impermanent? Is this becomes wisdom perfection or not? Practicing in the wisdom perfection. The meditation in the impermanent, which is done through compassion and bodhicitta, based on that. Is that meditation in the impermanent is a wisdom, practicing wisdom perfection of wisdom. So how we distinguishing such a things practice is a wisdom practice and such practice things in a method practice? Now again, when an individual practitioner meditate in a bodhicitta or compassion, there's a lot of wisdom process, analytical meditation is going through, isn't it? But there's a lot of wisdom function, there's a lot of, within the meditation, there's a lot of wisdom exercising exists, isn't it? But why still consider it is a method practice but not a wisdom practice? How are we distinguishing those two things? Most method practice, like meditation in bodhicitta, meditation in compassion, is this analytical meditation process, isn't it? Based on analytical meditation process, you conclude in a concentration, whatever the feeling, what you get, so you concentrate on that. So, is there still lots of analytical wisdom involves, but not considered as a wisdom practice? This is more method practice.
Are you asking when does it become a wisdom practice?
How are we distinguishing,
What's wisdom and what's not?
which is the wisdom practice and which is the method practice?
Isn't the wisdom practice the experiential?
Yeah, everything is experiential. How are we distinguishing?
Does it have to have some in the does it have to be a direct realization for it to be?
Direct realization to.
No, we're going back to it.
Mhm.
Well, when it's meditation on ultimate reality, there is a wisdom practice.
Why?
Why?
And yeah, why?
Doesn't impermanence lead to the, isn't it a method for leading to the wisdom realizing emptiness?
The method leads to wisdom realizing emptiness. Which method?
Impermanence, meditating on impermanence.
Meditation on impermanence leads to.
It is one. In other words, I got the last one wrong.
You know.
Someone was saying,
So what you say?
I don't know why.
meditating on ultimate reality, that's a wisdom practice.
Yeah, that's considered as a wisdom practice, and but in meditation and compassion still involves lots of wisdom. Meditation and generosity involves lots of wisdom, but still is considered as a method practice. What's distinguishing between merit accumulation and wisdom accumulation? You know, two type of merits. How are we distinguishing those two? Isn't these two, you know, so anyway, basically, Shidambani, Lam Tapshini, Devukuni, so there's a Shidambanis. In reality, there's a conventional reality and ultimate reality in a general. On the path, due to they're all conclusion. Things doesn't Buddha just say, oh, there's two results in a two type of practice. Everything started based on a reality. You know, there's a conventional reality and ultimate reality in a base. Based on that reality situation, then individual practitioners, when they're trying to make in a practice to transform their mind, then based on that two kind of type of reality existing, there's a two type of a practice, two type of path of a wisdom and a path of a method. Due to that, there's a two result, or because there's a two result, so this can go back and there's a two result, there's a two different type of cause. How that happened? Because of the two different cause, reality also explains two different type of reality. So, in a general speaking, when this kind of how we're distinguishing, you know, this is the wisdom practice and this is the method practice. Basically, looking from the result point of view, is that practice becomes a cause for the Dhammakaya, as is the wisdom type of a practice. Is that becomes a cause for the Sambhogakaya, and it becomes a method practice. Now, you know, one thing is that. If that is practice in category in a merit accumulation, then it is considered as a method practice. If that is a you know, accumulation of a yishigitso, and usually we translate what I heard yishigitso translated as a wisdom accumulation. Yishi is a kind of realization. In wisdom realization, maybe that's close enough. Now, question is earlier, meditation in impermanent, although meditation in impermanent is not the ultimate wisdom, according to Madhyamika. So therefore, it is still becomes in a merit accumulation. Although in the process of that meditation, of course, there's a lot of wisdom involved. Most of the practice have an involvement of a wisdom, but that is not the ultimate wisdom of the ultimate wisdom. So therefore, it is not part of the cause of the Dhammakaya. Principal cause of Dhammakaya, again, if you go through more detailed, principal cause of the Dhammakaya. So basically, 6 perfections in the first five can be like merit accumulation, sonam gitso, and the sixth can be like ishik gitso. Okay, so so this serial training, the training itself is exactly same. Training is over here, I say, serial training, Kimsumi number 173 of aspect of 3 notes, meditating in gradually on that, but which is basically motivated or basis in started in the practicing of a generosity, meditation in a generosity. Then meditation in a discipline, inner discipline or ethic. Based on that, when bodhisattvas they go meditation in 173 different type of aspect of 3 novos, then it becomes second one, targijoa. So it just goes like that. Sometimes, as you know, the 3 different type of compassion, you go to meditation in impermanent, you're trying to see trying to see the sentient beings, one type of their reality, nature of impermanent. Based on that, then you go to meditation in compassion. Basically, meditation, compassion, and the impermanent, 2 different, totally different things. But it's also able to start on based on that meditation impermanent, then going to the meditation of compassion. So likewise, over here, meditation in generosity, based on that, able to go through serial training, 173 different type of aspect, 3 novas aspect, able to go to meditation. So this one exactly go to until the 12, also over here, taking a refuge, strong meditation, cultivating faith towards the Buddha, and the Dharma and Sangha, recollection in the Buddha, recollection in the Dharma, recollection in Sangha. Based on that, then 170 different type of aspect of 3 nobles, and gradually, meditating on that. Hachisu Temba, this is kind of like a little bit complicated. The 6th one, between the 6 recollections, within the 6 recollection, Dharma, okay, Dharma, this is 2nd recollection, Dharma, recollection of a Dharma, and then we can go to the recollection of a Sangha.
I'm sorry. I went the wrong way. What do you want?
No, let's go. You can go down still. I just went recollection 3. Giving. No, that's non-existing. Okay, now we went. Okay, that's good. It's okay. Anyway, recollection in a giving ethic. Then there's a la Jesu Tamba. Gods. What's the image there? Represents God. That mostly, I think how we related with the my concern is how the meditation process started. Recollection of a God, based on that, then going through the meditation of 170 type of aspect. That part of a kind of concern. But anyway, that can be homework for myself. Okay, now we can go through the 7th chapter, the 4 things. Then we're going to stop that one. Okay. Now this one. Okay. Okay. Less. Now, in an example, if you are, sometimes you just turn something, small thing, and it can able to the good, I say, engineer, they can able to create this kind of mission. You can push something in it, like computer and all those things, kind of like I think able to just doing one thing and able to move everything. So, over here, the first one. After when going through serious training, went through that, as I mentioned earlier, sadhana meditation can be, usually it might take like a 2 hour, once you train well, within the 15 minutes, you can able to, waking up all the meditation and refreshing. So in this time, this for, I say, momentary training this is only exists in the Bodhisattvas in 10th bhumi, only exists in Bodhisattva in 10th bhumi, and now within the 100 and not only 100, this is all like whole in a practice. Let me make the first one. When the to make that easy, maybe I'll just ask one question first. Bodhisattva in a path of a seeing, when they have gathered direct realization in emptiness, do they have any conceptual realization or not? One in the path of seeing. During the path of seeing, there's a session and off session and quite long. That this time maybe can be like years and years. So during that time, do they have any realization which is the nature of a not direct perception?
Yes.
What's the example?
I don't know an example, but if there's on sessions and off sessions, then the off sessions would have to be conceptual.
Conceptual. So there is a realization when they are bodhisattva, they have a, when they are in off session, do they have a realization of emptiness which is the nature of a conceptual?
We have a realization of emptiness that is in the nature
Of conceptual. In off session.
Yes.
Yes. And now when they go in a session, is that transform in a direct perception or?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Bodhisattva in the 10th bhumi, do they have or not? Bodhisattva in the 10th bhumi, do they have a realization of emptiness which is the nature of a conceptual?
Not until a Buddha, right?
Until there is a Buddhahood.
Right.
So in an off session, they don't have a direct realization at all. Direct realization in emptiness at all.
Okay.
Yes or no?
I accept.
Do you accept it? There's no direct realization in emptiness at all in an off session.
Okay.
No. No exists direct realization in emptiness. They have an experience of direct realization in emptiness only in the meditation.
I accept that.
Why?
Because it's a special feature of Buddhahood to be able to perceive both conventional and ultimate reality at the same time.
Well, isn't it, like two different consciousness, through the mind, okay, from the eye consciousness might see this, strawberry or any flower, but in the internal, in the mental consciousness, isn't able to go through the process of, directly realizing the ultimate reality of that object. Because true consciousness is not the realizing on conventional reality directly and ultimate reality directly is possible. But one consciousness able to directly realize is two different, two reality, conventional reality, ultimate reality, only enlightened mind quality within the one consciousness, we have to say. But basically, if you accept there is a conceptual conceptual understanding, realization in emptiness, even in the tender bhumi, then the first, the non-fully wrapping in terms over here, like, once one, conceptual realization, when the practitioners, when they, particularly in the tender bhumi, when they go through the all entire realization, rest of another, conceptual level of realization can be picking up. They don't have to make an individual effort. They don't have to make a samen number member. Once they one go, kind of like a one pushing bottom can be moved, rest of everything.
Dominoes.
Yeah.
You know that game?
Is that game?
This Western game where they have these little black things and you can stack them, and then if you hit one, they all kind of start going like this.
Yeah, exactly that. Like that way. So the first one is related with the conceptual, and the second one related with the non-conceptual. Over here, non-fully ripen and ripen in terms. Over here is just a conceptual and non-conceptual. So I was to explain, if you say, if you accept, there's no direct conceptual level realization in emptiness at all, once they realize the emptiness directly, then I'm in trouble to explain this. So, generally speaking.
Would that be in session and out of session then?
That's a good question, but I will say this whole are in a session. In Bodhisattva, in a tender bhumi, they have a session. Now, it is in the session, in the meditation in the session, once they... now, if I say if it's in a session, you might have a question, do they have a meditation session in conceptual realization, or do they have a meditation in session in a direct perception? Now, in a general speak, in a tender bhumi, yes, there's two different things. When they meditate in a direct perception, that is the meditated equal pose, considered as a meditated equal pose, and that is the kind of direct antidote of any object to bending. Now, conceptual level is kind of like a warming up, or meditation do exist, which is not considered as a meditated equal pose. Yeah, in meditation. Now, considered the second one, the second and third and fourth, entire is meditation equal pose. Meditation equal pose, that means all these three are direct, those whole are realization and emptiness, which is the nature of a direct perception. And why they make three different things? One, I think the second one's just trying to describe, ripening, number mimba, samya number mimba, direct realization in the emptiness, which is nature of a direct perception, and the third one is more talking from the aspect of the object. There's no without characteristic tree. Characteristic tree, it's like in Heart Sutra when you recite, there's no characteristic tree. There's no this, no that is telling in the object. Within the meditation in equal pose, meditation in direct perception, when you go through there's no characteristic exists in the object. There's everything of one nature of ultimate reality. There's nothing this kind. Everything's like a dream, just merely labeled. So that's the third one trying to explain. Third one, yeah, the third one. The fourth one is really trying to discuss what's the relation between the subject mind and the object mind, the direct perception realization mind and the emptiness is non-dual. Now, over here, this, the subject mind is not dissolving in the object, but over here there's a Yujing. Basically, it is a the subject mind is in the object. The relation was a meditated equipoise. There's no experience of a conventional reality. There's no experience of course, the object of negation. And there's no experience of a non-dual, I say, subject and object, kind of like a separate way. When the conceptual level goes through, when the meditation is a conceptual in nature, then it have to go through the image and so on and so forth. There's a certain level of a subject and object kind of distinguishing quite clear. But in this case, the meditation in a direct perception level in an ultimate reality. So it is like a non-dual in terms for the practitioner, for the meditator, for the yogi, for that bodhisattva, there's no another than reality than subject mind, and there's no subject mind another than reality. Kind of like in Heart Sutras kind of things. There's no another than as a that kind of situation in that direct perception meditation. There's nothing for the yogi meditator. There's nothing separate. Okay. So. Yeah, that is each. When we talk from the definition, as I mentioned earlier, kind of like the fourth one is the subject and object, how the relation, from that point of view, is talking. The third one is the object itself, and the second one is the subject mind, which is the nature of a direct perception. Again, particularly in the second one, if you that meditator, that bodhisattva, when they meditate ultimate reality of a self in a direct perception through the meditation ultimate self, within that meditation, it includes entire reality. You don't need to have a separate meditation in the reality of a phenomenon, reality of another things. By simply meditating in an ultimate reality of oneself, that really able to take on like a rest of the meditation, able to don't need to have a separate meditation. Directly able to. All the rest of the direct realization in the emptiness can able to awaken. Did you get that? The question comes: okay, if somebody is meditating in a ultimate reality of a flower, that person is meditation in the ultimate reality of a tree, or that person have to make a different effort. Emptiness is the same. Did have to make a separate meditation, or by meditating in one, it covers entire meditating in emptiness, all the reality. Person and phenomena also we can take. By meditation in selflessness of a person, is naturally becomes meditation in selflessness of phenomena. Now in this case, is what is telling in the number second, that bodhisattva in the 10th bhumi, by meditating in selflessness of a person, naturally able to go to meditation in a selflessness of a phenomena.
So for someone,
particular vehicle who's meditating on the selflessness of person,
Mhm.
after having a direct realization, do they come out also having a realization of the emptiness of phenomena, or only of the selflessness of person?
Only selflessness of a person. Yeah, only selflessness of a person. That's a good question. That's a good question. Why? Okay. Because in a low vehicle, in hearers, when they meditated in a selflessness of a person, particularly selflessness of a person, when they meditate, it's not applied by Rigbe Namdang Taibe Gone. That means one like variety, logic and reason and lots of surrounded cause and not necessary to realize that selflessness of a person. Basically, in a simple reason, from the motivation point of view and from the direct reason, whatever reason they're applying, dependent or arising or any lot. So, there's an extensive of applying logic, have a different. In a low vehicle, not necessary to apply, general speaking, doesn't apply that much logic and reason, basic, simple way. So due to that kind of force of logic and reason, I think there's a difference. So I said no. Oh, I forgot. I'm like having debate for so long time. That's good when you say why. I have to think. Usually, sometimes wandering in the monastery, they train the communication of a debate. It carries some kind of communication of a debate. Subject is okay, but mainly there's a speed of a communication of a debate. The communication was created, a simple word, kind of like quote. Quote. Then behind the quote, there's so many things it can, like those people who type, they, just one. Yeah, fast key. They just slow one. They carry many lots of words. Like that kind of things, it carries, it's kind of like code work. So, no, yes, it's kind of like goes so fast. and one time I was trying to really translate that in English and trying to go through it, and like, I don't know, it's still to bring that communication in English. This certain level is able to go. I accept. But in some cases, it's kind of difficult to translate, and I don't know. This is trying to several times, but it doesn't working. So anyway, it's good to debate. Good to debate. Mm-hmm. And that question that you asked. Now I'm forgetting debating. And for you're asking from the direct perception point of view.
Yes.
Why you choose that question?
Well, we've been talking about this because if you look at the different realizations,
Mm-hmm.
according to three different
Mhm.
vehicles, it's a different realization of emptiness. So it's trying to figure out what happens from that point on. Because often you hear people say, well, once you have a direct realization, emptiness is the same, whether it's emptiness of person or emptiness of phenomena. But so it's trying to figure out what happens. Their conceptual understanding of emptiness is different from the three vehicles. But once you have a direct perception of emptiness, is it the same, or are they three different direct perceptions of emptiness?
When a three vehicle.
From a Gika point of view, the present Gika said, once you have a direct realization, it will be the same, even if you're a lower vehicle practitioner. You'll have a realization of both self and phenomena.
No, Now, when the conceptual level, when the practitioner first, trying to get realization, within those two self-necessary person and self-phenomena, definitely self-necessary person is first, then later self-necessary phenomena is definited in a conceptual level. Definite is kind of for whole Mahayana in a Bodhisattva in the path of accumulation and preparation also the order is to kind of definite. First go through self-necessary of a person, then go through self-necessary phenomena. Now the question you choose not the conceptual level, but in a direct perception level. When they get in when they go to the path of seeing, I say in a Mahayana, yes, it can realize both simultaneously. In a Hinayana, I say no, because their support for realization in emptiness. Not only that they are training, but that mind itself, it needs to have so many cause and condition, particularly with support by, in a Hinayana, it's more in a renunciation. In a Mahayana, it's strong by supreme bodhicitta mind. And so, from those support method side and the logic, and from all those different, from the direct perception in the Hinayana, I also say no. That's my theory. Again, in that case, because these haven't really made it really clear, exactly how we're discussing in the text. Okay, in the path of seeing, that once you get the direct realization, it's like a one cut. It doesn't have a really clear. In particular related with in a Hinayana. In a Mahayana, I think it's no problem. It's quite clear. Okay, so in this case, in the second one over here, is a direct realization in any kind of direct realization entire they can able to waken up in the meditation session. In the first one, they can all wake up the conceptual level of realization entire within the by just meditation in a conceptual level in impermanent. They can let me say in a bodhicitta. Sami namba chujung undo chabana tedan riktumba. The similarity of realization, which is conceptual in nature, entire. Now waking up. In a Tibetan word over here, it's Ngondo Chapa. But I think the closest to translate, Ngondo Chapa have a different meaning with the context. But in this case, waking up that realization.